I don't even know where to start, honestly. It's one of those stories that feels like a bad movie, but it's real life and it's my life, and I'm just sitting here trying to make sense of it all. My wife Lisa and I have been together for about 7 years. We got married young, both of us still figuring ourselves out, but I thought we had something solid. Looking back now, I see the signs, little things that seemed innocent at first but now scream betrayal. She'd go out with friends more often, started dressing differently, more provocative, and there were always excuses: her work, her friends, stress. I brushed it off because I loved her, and I didn't want to believe she'd do anything to hurt me. Then, about 2 weeks ago, everything changed. I had just come back from a trip for work, and that's when I started noticing the little cracks. Her phone was suddenly glued to her hand, texts at all hours, quick deletes, and even a few missed calls that she'd brush off with just some work thing or no big deal. I tried to ignore it, but my gut told me something was off. I'd catch her lying about where she was, who she was with. I thought maybe I was just being paranoid until I found the receipts. That night I was going through her phone, something I know I shouldn't have, but I just couldn't shake the feeling as she was asleep. I saw a message from her brother, Matt, that made my stomach churn. It was late, around 11 p.m., and the message was something like, "Can't wait to see you tomorrow. It's been too long." That's weird, I thought. Matt lived in another state. Then I noticed their recent call history: multiple calls, missed and answered, even a couple of texts that seemed more than just "how's the weather" kind of banter. I felt a cold sweat coming on, but I kept digging. Then I found it, an entire thread of texts between Lisa and Matt, and they weren't just friendly. They were flirtatious, teasing each other, talking about plans to meet up. I couldn't believe my eyes. It was like I'd been hit by a truck. My wife, my best friend's brother, someone I knew as family, sleeping with her, the night before my funeral, no less. I couldn't even wrap my head around that. She'd been lying to me every damn day. I felt like I was living a nightmare. And that's when I decided I had to confront her. I couldn't keep pretending anymore. I needed answers, and I needed to hear her lie to my face. That night I waited until she was in the shower. I took a deep breath, gathered my courage, and went to her phone. I never imagined I'd find what I found, but there it was, proof that she'd been cheating on me with Matt for months, maybe longer. I had all I needed. When she got out of the shower, I called her into the living room and I showed her the messages I'd uncovered. Her face, it was a mask of shock at first, then pure bitchiness as she started to spin her lies. "You don't understand, Kevin, it was just sex. It didn't mean anything, you're overreacting. It was a mistake, I swear, I was drunk, it meant nothing. You're being paranoid." I just stared at her, feeling a mixture of rage, heartbreak, and disgust. I wanted to believe her, I really did. But the proof was right there, black and white. How could she lie like that? How could she call what she did nothing? It wasn't just about some stupid fling. It was deeper, more disgusting, and she was just trying to brush it off like it was nothing. That moment crushed me, but I knew I couldn't just let it go. I had to decide what to do next. But right then, all I could think about was how betrayed I felt, how blind I'd been, and how much I hated her for lying to my face. After that night, everything changed. I felt like I was walking around in a fog, like my mind was trying to process what I'd just learned, but the shock kept hitting me like waves. The betrayal ran deep. I mean, she lied about everything. Said it was just sex, that it was a mistake, like that made it okay. But I knew better. I knew it wasn't just some drunken one-night stand. It was an ongoing affair, and with her brother's brother, no less. How sick is that? I never thought she would cross that line, especially with someone who was practically family. It felt like my entire world had turned upside down. I didn't sleep that night. Instead, I sat on the couch, staring at the ceiling, trying to make sense of how she could be so callous, how she could look me in the eye and lie like that. I kept thinking about everything: the times she was distant, the sneaking around, the little lies I caught her in, all the signs. I felt so stupid for not seeing it earlier, but how could I? I trusted her. I loved her. And now I'd been made a fool of. The next morning, I knew I couldn't keep pretending everything was okay. I needed to confront her again, but this time I wanted the truth. No more lies. I called her into the living room and I looked her straight in the eyes. "Lisa, I know everything about you and Matt, about the sex. Don't even bother denying it." Her face flashed with a mixture of anger and contempt, and she spat back, "You're overreacting. It was just sex. It doesn't mean anything. I swear it was a one-time thing and I regret it." I felt a punch in my gut. Regret. That's all she had to say. It was just sex. That's what she wanted me to believe. I was furious. How could she dismiss it like that, like it was nothing? I told her I needed some time to think, that I couldn't even look at her right now. I left the house and took a drive trying to clear my head, but nothing helped. The pain was like a physical thing, lodged deep inside my chest. I kept asking myself how I could have missed the signs, how I could have been so blind. I thought about her bitchy attitude, that cold way she dismissed everything I said. That's when I realized she'd been lying, manipulating me, playing me for a fool. Over the next few days, I kept thinking about what to do. I felt angry, hurt, and betrayed all at once. I started to see all the cracks in our marriage, her constant dismissiveness, her secretive behavior, her lies. And the worst part, she didn't seem sorry. She just kept spinning her stories, trying to convince me it was a mistake, that she'd never do it again. But I knew better. I knew that once someone crosses that line, there's no going back. The trust was shattered, and I did know if I could ever fix it. I felt a deep sense of loss, not just for my wife, but for the life I thought we had. And honestly, part of me wondered how I ever believed she was the one. How naive I was to think I was safe with her. Every day after that felt like a battle. I was trying to hold myself together, pretending everything was fine when inside I was crumbling. I started to think about revenge, about making her see how much she'd hurt me. But I wasn't sure what that looked like yet. Part of me just wanted to run, to leave it all behind, but I knew I had to face it first. I had to decide if I was going to forgive her or if I was done. I kept asking myself if I could even look at her the same way again. The woman I loved, the woman I married, had been lying and cheating on me with someone I once called family. How do you come back from that? How do you even begin to heal from something so brutal? The days that followed were a blur of thoughts, anger, and trying to keep it together. I felt like I was walking on a razor's edge. One moment I was furious, the next I was just numb. I kept replaying everything in my head, her words, her lies, how she dismissed my feelings like they were nothing. Every time I looked at her, I saw a stranger, someone who had lied, cheated, and betrayed everything we built. The betrayal cut deeper than I thought possible. I wondered how she could be so bitchy about the whole thing, dismissing it as just sex, like that somehow made it okay. It was like she wanted to minimize it, make me feel like I was overreacting, that I was the crazy one. But I was. I knew the truth, and it was ugly. I started to think about what I needed to do. Part of me wanted to cut her loose right away, to end it all and walk away. But another part, the stubborn part, kept telling me I needed to make her pay. I didn't want her to think she could get away with this, that she could just lie her way out of it and everything would be fine. No, I was going to make her see exactly how much she hurt me. That's when I started planning my revenge. Not in some childish way, but in a calculated, strategic manner. I needed her to feel the pain she caused, to understand that her lies and her betrayal wouldn't go unpunished. I decided to gather evidence, more proof of her lies, so I could confront her properly. I knew she'd try to spin her way out of it again, so I needed to be prepared. I started secretly recording her whenever I could, catching her in little lies, her bitchy tone when she dismissed my concerns. I also looked into her phone, her social media, anything that could give me more leverage. I wanted her to see that I wasn't just some fool who would take her lies anymore. I was going to expose her for what she really was, a liar, a cheat, a woman who'd sleep with her brother's brother and then lie about it. At the same time, I started talking to some friends, trying to get advice. Most of them told me to just cut her loose, to move on with my life and forget her. But part of me didn't want to give her the easy way out. I wanted her to suffer in her own way. I wanted her to know that she couldn't mess with my heart and get away with it. That's when I decided I was going to confront her again, but this time with everything laid out on the table. I wanted clarity, and I wanted her to finally admit what she'd done without her bitchy deflections. I knew it would be ugly, and I knew it would hurt, more than I'd already been hurt. But I also knew I couldn't keep playing nice. Not anymore. So I waited for the right moment when she was least expecting it, and I laid it all out. I told her I knew about the affair, about her lying, about her sneaking around with Matt. Her reaction was as I expected. She started lying, saying I must have misunderstood, that it was just a mistake, that I was reading too much into it. She looked at me with that bitchy smirk, like she thought she could manipulate her way out of it again. But I wasn't buying it anymore. I told her I had the proof. I had recordings, texts, everything. Her face twisted into a mixture of anger and panic, but she still refused to own up. Instead, she threw out some classic lines, saying I was jealous, that I didn't understand her, and that I was making a huge deal out of nothing. That was the turning point. I realized that she wasn't going to change, that her lies would keep coming no matter what I did. I was finally seeing her for what she really was, a manipulative, lying bitch who thought she could get away with anything. I felt sick to my stomach because I'd given her so many chances, and she just used them to keep her secrets hidden. I knew then that I had to make a decision, either forgive her and try to move on or cut ties completely. But I also knew that whatever I chose, my life would never be the same. Trust was broken, and I was the one left picking up the pieces of my shattered heart. After that confrontation, I felt like I was standing at a crossroads. Part of me still wanted to believe her, to cling to some flicker of hope that maybe she'd change, that she'd realize the damage she'd done and genuinely want to fix it. But deep down, I knew better. I saw her for what she was, a bitchy, manipulative liar who thought she could brush everything aside with her bullshit excuses. The more I pressed her, the more I realized she was just trying to gaslight me, make me doubt myself, make me think I was overreacting. That's her go-to move always. She's good at spinning her lies and twisting things around until she's the victim. I started feeling angry, so angry I could hardly breathe most days. How dare she do this to me? How dare she sleep with my best friend's brother the night before my funeral, no less? I mean, what kind of twisted person does that? And she had the nerve to call it just sex, like that made it okay. It's not just sex, it's betrayal. It's disgusting, and I felt like I was drowning in a sea of betrayal. I couldn't even be around her without feeling this intense urge to scream at her, to shake her, and demand she tell me the truth. But I held myself back because I knew the truth was already out there, and it wasn't pretty. In the days that followed, I started to make arrangements. I was done pretending everything was fine. I started packing my stuff, thinking about moving out, about what I needed to do to get away from her lies and her bitchy attitude. The more I thought about her dismissing everything I said, her cold sneers, her tone like she thought she was better than me, yeah, that's when I knew I couldn't stay. Not with someone like her. I also kept recalling the moments she'd lied about where she was, who she was with, how she dismissed my concerns with a bitchy smirk. She always made it seem like I was the crazy one, the jealous fool, but I was. I knew the truth, and now I was determined to get out, to start over. I also started planning my next move, how to finally confront her once and for all, how to make her see that she couldn't hide behind her lies forever. I wasn't going to be played anymore. I was going to make her regret everything she did, even if it meant destroying whatever fragile ego she had left. I knew she'd try to spin her way out of it again, but I was ready. I had the evidence, the proof, and a plan to show her just how much she'd messed up. I wanted her to feel the weight of her actions, to understand that you can't lie and cheat and expect everything to just go back to normal. Meanwhile, I was also dealing with this overwhelming sense of loss. The woman I married, the woman I trusted, had turned out to be a manipulative bitch who'd sleep with her brother's brother and lie about it. And the worst part, she had no remorse. She defended herself, calling me paranoid, accusing me of overreacting, trying to make me doubt my own judgment. That's her way, always shifting blame, always playing the victim. And honestly, I was starting to see her for what she truly was, a selfish, lying, bitchy woman who didn't care about anyone but herself. That realization hit me harder than anything else. I had lost my wife, my best friend's sister, the woman I thought I knew. And now I was left with nothing but anger and a decision to make, whether to fight for what's left or walk away for good. I remember the day I finally made up my mind. I was sitting in my apartment, surrounded by the few things I hadn't packed yet, and I kept replaying everything, Her lies, her bitchy attitude, the way she dismissed my feelings like I was some paranoid fool. I felt a burning rage mixed with deep sadness. The betrayal cut so deep I wasn't sure I'd ever recover. But I knew one thing, I couldn't stay with her. Not after what she'd done. I'd tolerated her bullshit for too long, tried to give her the benefit of the doubt, but enough was enough. That day, I sat down and wrote a long, detailed message. I spilled everything. The evidence I'd gathered, the way she'd lied, the affair with Matt, everything. I knew she'd try to spin her way out of it again, but I wanted her to see that I was serious. I wasn't going to be played anymore. I told her I was done, that I deserved better, that I was leaving for good. I didn't want to hear her bitchy excuses or her manipulative lies. I just wanted her to know that I was finished. I packed my bags that night and I left. In the early hours of the morning, not looking back, I wanted to get as far away from her toxicity as I could. The actual leaving was a relief in some ways, but it also hurt like hell. I felt like I was abandoning everything we had built, but also like I was finally freeing myself from her grip. I stayed with a friend for a few days while I figured out what I was going to do next. The anger simmered down gradually, replaced with a kind of numbness. I kept questioning myself, should I have fought harder? Should I have tried to save the marriage? But deep down, I knew I had already lost her long before I found out about the affair. She was gone the moment she decided to cheat and lie. No coming back from that. As I started to put some distance between us, I also realized something important. I'd been trying to hold on to a version of her that wasn't real anymore. The woman I loved had turned out to be a manipulative, bitchy liar who'd cheat on me with her brother's brother, and then try to gaslight me into thinking I was crazy. That realization was a punch to the gut, but it also set me free. I learned that you can't force someone to be honest or loyal. They have to want to be that way. And if they don't, then you have to walk away, even if it hurts. Now I'm trying to rebuild my life from the ground up. It's not easy, and I still have moments where I feel like I'm back at square one, angry, betrayed, and wondering how I ever trusted her. But I also feel a strange sense of relief. I don't have to deal with her bitchy attitude or her lies anymore. I don't have to pretend everything is fine when it's not. I'm learning to forgive myself, to let go of the anger, and to move forward. It's a slow process, but I know I'll get there. The biggest lesson I've learned: never ignore the signs. Never let yourself believe someone is better than they really are. And most of all, never settle for someone who doesn't respect or value you, because once they cross that line, there's no going back. Looking back now, I realize how much I was blind to see before all this. Chaos unfolded. I used to think I knew her, thought I understood what kind of person she was. Turns out, I only knew the version she wanted me to see. The real her was a bitchy, manipulative liar who was willing to sleep with her brother's brother, lie through her teeth, and play the victim when caught. She thought she was clever, that she could keep her secrets hidden forever. But secrets always come out, eventually they do. The whole experience has changed me in ways I can't fully explain. I've become more cautious, more guarded. I don't trust easily anymore, especially not people who seem charming or perfect on the surface. I've learned that sometimes love isn't enough. Sometimes it's just a mask someone wears, hiding who they really are. And that's a hard lesson to swallow. The thing I keep telling myself is that I'm better off without her. I don't need someone who manipulates me, who dismisses my feelings and lies about everything. I deserve honesty, loyalty, and respect, something she clearly never gave me. I've started focusing on myself, rebuilding my confidence, and figuring out what I really want from life. It's not easy, and there are days when I still feel the sting of betrayal, but I know I'll get through it. To anyone out there going through something similar, I'd say this: trust your instincts. If things don't feel right, don't ignore it. Once someone crosses that line, cheating, lying, betraying, you can't fix it with words or promises. You have to decide whether you're going to accept the pain and try to forgive, or walk away and start over. For me, walking away was the only option. I may have lost a marriage, but I gained clarity. I learned to value myself enough to walk away from someone who disrespects me. In the end, I hope she finds whatever it is she's looking for, though I doubt it. I hope she realizes what she lost when she threw away something good for a moment of selfish pleasure, me. I'm just glad I finally saw the truth, no matter how brutal it was. Life goes on and I'll be okay. Because sometimes the only way to heal is to let go of what's toxic, face the pain, and move forward. And that's exactly what I'm doing now.